Hi, my name is Chris Toe, and I'm the Global Lead Specialist of Alternative Marine Fuels here at S&P Global Energy Platts. And I'm here today to talk to you about the state of play in alternative bunker fuels in 2026 and what to watch out for as we progress through the year. 2026 could prove to be a pivotal year for alternative marine fuels, not because a single fuel has emerged as the winner, but because regulation is now forcing real-world commercial choices. What we are seeing across shipping is a shift from strategy checks to operational decisions. Fuel choices are no longer driven by long-term ambition alone. They are being shaped by regulatory exposure, compliance flexibility, and cost visibility. At the center of this shift is regulation. FuelEU Maritime and the EU emissions trading system are no longer background frameworks. They are directly influencing bunker spreads, voyage economics, and how compliance risk is allocated between owners, charterers, and managers. In 2026, regulation has become a market driver in its own right, shaping behavior rather than simply setting boundaries. Against that regulatory backdrop, biofuels have moved firmly into focus as the most immediate compliance option available to owners today. They are drop-in fuels, compatible with existing fleets and compliant under FuelEU's well-to-wake methodology. For many operators, biofuels are not a transition fuel of the future. They are the first lever pulled in 2026. What's changing, however, is how biofuels interact with compliance markets. As FuelEU pooling mechanisms start to take shape, biofuel economics are increasingly influencing pooling prices. The cost of generating compliant surplus via biofuel use, expressed through CO2 abatement costs, is becoming a reference point for what surplus is worth in the market. In effect, abatement costs are acting as the bridge between physical biofuel prices and the emerging value of FuelEU compliance units. LNG continues to dominate alternative fuel adoption, supported by a growing global bunkering network and a strong order book. The order book for running vessels running on LNG stands at 932 vessels up until 2029, according to S&P Global data. But the conversation has matured. In 2026, LNG's competitiveness increasingly hinges on lifecycle performance, particularly methane slip, upstream emissions, and how those are treated under well-to-wake accounting. LNG remains a powerful option, but it is no longer exempt from scrutiny. Out of this is emerging a transitional fuel of increasing practical importance, bio-LNG. With some of the steepest negative carbon scores, the offtake from the maritime sector is expecting to continue to grow, especially for use in FuelEU Maritime. Partnerships, deals, and offtake agreements surrounding bio-LNG offers ship owners an emerging compliance component to interweave into decarbonisation strategies. Methanol's trajectory looks different. Vessel readiness is accelerating, yet supply remains constrained. The critical questions in 2026 are about availability, certification, and cost stability. The current methanol vessel order book until 2029 stands at 236 vessels. The challenge is no longer whether ships can burn methanol, but whether low-carbon methanol can be sourced reliably, documented credibly, and priced competitively. In addition, corners of the industry are trialing ethanol-methanol blends, pushing for an incorporation of first-generation biofuels into the fuel mix, despite regulatory obstacles preventing this. This year, ammonia and hydrogen remain longer-term solutions. The order book count for ammonia-fueled vessels until 2029 lies at around 23 vessels. Progress in 2026 is less about volume and more about groundwork, safety, frameworks, technical standards, and port readiness. These developments may not grab headlines, but they are essential for future scalability. All of this sets the stage for the final focal point of the year, IMO MEPC 83.2 in October 2026. This is the moment the entire industry is watching. Decisions taken or deferred at MEPC 83.2 could reshape long-term fuel competitiveness, influence investment decisions, and determine how global and regional regulations interact going forward. Before then, MEPC 84 in April will provide an important State of the Union checkpoint for the industry, building up to the critical meeting later on in the year. So 2026 is not about choosing a single fuel. It is about understanding optionality, managing regulatory risk, and recognizing that compliance economics, not just technology, are now steering the market. And that's why every part of the industry will be watching how this year concludes. Thanks for watching. For more energy content, stay tuned to S&P Global Energy RedThread.